yesterday, I know it's quite a rare thing, but I managed to get myself into a bit of drama. I've never done that before, so this was quite a strange thing for me. But I said, if you rely on Lancers, you're the reason Gears is irrelevant. You destroyed the game, so why are you looking forward to the next one? You're just going to ruin that too, as people will stop playing again as soon as you ruin it for them again. If you want a good Gears, play properly. Right, so I'm going to be completely honest. I was sat on Destiny waiting for a friend to get back, and I told another friend who I was with that I'm really bored. I'm just going to tweet something out for a laugh, and I posted that for a laugh. I was being a troll. That's not positive. That's not helpful. Yeah, I was trolling. I was having a laugh. It was meaningless. Despite that, though, that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't stand by what I said. I do believe that. I do recognise that I had a lot of comments on that disagreeing with me, which is absolutely fine, it's an opinion. But that doesn't mean that because a lot of people are disagreeing with me, that I'm going to just step down from my opinion. I really believe that my opinion's right. And I want to try and explain that because there's one person I won't name because he's not really done anything to name me. There was a big content creator who has defended the Lancer on the tweet, which that's his opinion, that's absolutely fine, not an issue, I respect his opinion, but I disagree. There was somebody who I will name, but the reason for naming, I just want to be clear, I have huge respect for the guy. I agree with practically everything that he ever says. I look up to him. It's a respectful sort of response to something he's said, and the only reason I'm doing that is because I was in the thumbnail of his video, and that's Avexes. Now, just to be clear, I'm not bashing on him. Quite frankly, I agree with everything he said. He obviously knows way more about the game than me. He's better at the game than me. But I just think that something he said in his video, it was something that I think maybe is a big factor for why people have such differing opinion on the Lancer, because the perspective he has towards a Lancer is what I consider the quote-unquote correct way to use it. So obviously, if he's got the correct way of using it mentality towards it, he's naturally going to be in favour of it being the way it is and having its usage in the game. And I completely agree with him. Nothing he said do I disagree with. I would be interested, I don't know if he will watch this, if he'll be interested in what I say, but if he does, I would be interested if he watched this video just to see what he thinks about the perspective that I'm going to present, and maybe, I don't know, maybe he'll be able to see what I was thinking with my comment, maybe other people will be able to see what I was thinking with my comment, and maybe people will be able to see that in a way that I don't know how to explain. The Lancer, whilst it's just one weapon, it seems to me like in the game, depending on who you're playing against and the way they want to play, it's like you're playing two different games. You've either got the game using the Lancer in the way that it should really be used, in my opinion, or you've got it being used in a way that I don't believe it should be used, in my opinion. And in my opinion, the way it shouldn't be used is what's damaging towards the game. But I also think that the way it shouldn't be used, in my opinion, is what's just completely harming the game and people can't seem to see, or some people can't seem to see, or they can see it but they're the people who do that and they don't want to see it changed, but maybe that's a different story. But for this video I just want to explain the reason why I have the opinion I put into that tweet yesterday. As I say, I admit, I'm going to hold my hands up, I'm not hiding it. Yes, I put that out as a troll. Yes, it was a bait post. Yes, I laughed at a lot of the things I've seen on it. But that doesn't mean that it's not a big talking point for the game itself. So I just wanted to just put a bit of time into actually explaining what I think about the Lance and the topic and the way it's used. I wanted to show you some things and scenarios just so you can maybe see where my mind's at with it. I'd be interested to hear what you guys think. And Avexes, again, I know I've named you, dude. It's not a call out. I agree with you. I look up to you, dude. But I would be interested to see what you think on what I'm saying here, if you do, for whatever reason, watch one of my videos. But I was getting to this now, actually showing a bit of Avexes' video for what he says, and this is the part I agree with.
The Lancer is a very pivotal part of the Gears of War experience simply because it's the main tool that's used to punish poor positioning. And with that being said, if the Lancer is, not balanced in a negative way, right? In a way that it's not really a factor in consistent gameplay, then we have a game of everybody just literally running around with shotguns, and I just don't think that's healthy. I just don't think that's a good Gears of War game. Which is, once again, my opinion.
Okay, so that was a small clip from Avexy's recent video, which I believe might have been motivated, shall we say, potentially by my post. I agree with what he says there, and I want to cover both his points. So the points he made were the Lancer, it's there for catching people out of position. I agree. And also, the Lancer damage, I don't think that the Lancer should be useless because the Lancer completely belongs in Gears. I completely agree. But despite those things, I still have huge issue with the Lancer right now. And I want to come back to the positioning part afterwards, because if I preface that with some numbers, then maybe that kind of better reinforces the point I'm making, because opinions aside, nobody can argue with numbers. So if I put that here now, then what I say beyond this point can't really be refuted. So, I don't know what your knowledge of the game is, but I will go through the numbers here. So, a character in multiplayer has 600 health. The Lancer in its current state does 50 damage per shot. Not headshots, just body shots. 50 damage per shot. Mathematically, that means you can get a down but not out on an opponent in 12 shots of your Lancer if you are accurate. So I see so many people saying that it takes a full clip to down somebody. No, it doesn't. Mathematically, you can down 3 people in your clip. You are just missing many of your shots. Mathematically, you can miss 28 of your 40 clip and still get a down. If you are missing over half of your shots, that is completely on you. And if you were to say that over range it's too difficult, maybe that's because you're using it too far away in an unintended range. But anyway, those are those numbers. 12 shots to get a down but not out. So the next question has to become, how long does it take to fire those shots? That wasn't very long, was it? And the thing is, as a team, in a setup the way I'm going to show you now, as a team, that means they can down somebody in under half a second. Now, admittedly, when I used to test this in the past, this number was much less, and changes have happened since, but for reasons which are irrelevant to this conversation, I was no longer in a position to be involved in adjustments or discussion involving adjustments, shall we say. So I kind of missed that had changed to that extent, and I'm happy to see that it had changed. In the past, it used to be sub-second for one person to be able to get a down. That was including headshots though, so that's kind of skewing away a little bit. But point being, it takes approximately 1.4 seconds for a player to expire enough shots to get a down but not out if they don't miss their shots. As a team, as I say, of 4 people, that then becomes less than half a second to down somebody. Now, I will come back to this when I go through the scenarios, but please keep those numbers in mind because they are important to try and think about in these scenarios. Avexy's other point, he rightfully said that the Lancer is there for catching people out of position. I agree. I would expand on that slightly and also add that I believe it's a support weapon. It's never been, in my opinion, it's never been the primary multiplayer weapon. Now, I know people are going to argue, oh, it's on the box, oh, it's on the primary slot and the weapons. You're right, yes it is, And I'll say to that, that's most likely because Gears of War 1, initially, it was never even going to have a multiplayer. So naturally, playing a PvE mode, the rifle will be the primary weapon. I get that, but that comment is so ridiculous when talking about PvP that it's painful to even cover, but I've covered it there for you. But to come back to PvP, the Lancer, it's kind of the unwritten rule, shall we say, that the Lancer is a supporting weapon. So, in my opinion, it should be used in a supporting role, in a supporting situation. And a scenario for that I have in mind would be, let's imagine yourselves in an old school execution match. You're on gridlock and you're in these positions that I'm showing now. You've got, let's just say, to keep it simple, it's 2v2. You've got one person pushing up to snipe, you've got one person pushing up to boom. The other team mimics that. So you have somebody opposite you at both points. Let's say that the person down at boom cannot get to boom because the person the other side of the archway is putting too much pressure on them. As the player who pushes up to snipe, if you win your 1v1, what you could do in that situation is immediately take cover and start lancering down at the opponent on the other side of the archway. That is support fire for your teammate to be able to make a push. In my opinion, that is how you use a Lancer to make a push on a map position or a map weapon. In my opinion, that is how the Lancer is supposed to be used. That, in my opinion, is a supporting role for a supporting weapon. Now, unfortunately, that isn't always how things go. In fact, in my opinion, that's actually pretty much how it never goes anymore. It's how it used to be, but it feels like times have changed into a point now where pretty much every player, for some reason, would rather sacrifice the enjoyment for everybody else in the lobby just so that they win. And if this was for a proper competitive match, or for money, I could completely understand. But whilst I'm pretty sure most people disagree with me here, I don't mind, but this is my opinion. Any match-made match, any match, even if it's called ranked, it means nothing. It's still casual. And I say that because even ranked, you cannot force a stack versus stack situation, which means that one team might have at minimum one, quote, random person, shall we say. It's usually more than one random person, but let's just say one team has one random person. At that point, that team does not have full strategy, it does not have full communication, does not have full coordination. That means it's not being taken seriously because you cannot implement a proper strategy to win the match. It's for that reason why I personally do not believe that ranked is anything more than casual, it's just a name slapped on it. Now, the problem with that is, you've got players going into that, they will happily search as a stack. Even though they're probably not going to get against another stack, they will happily search as a stack. And when they're in that match, they have no issue camping. Now the thing is, these people, they often claim that players like Avexis, they do use a Lancer. In competitive, the Lancer is used, and they are right in saying that. But the thing is, these people do not have the skill of Avexis or these other pros who do utilise the Lancer correctly. They don't know how to use a Lancer correctly. All they do, they see pros use a Lancer and think, oh, that must be what the skill is. But it's not. Avexis rightfully said in his video as well that it's all about map positioning and movement and getting around the map knowing where to be. And he's right. That's not what these people do in public with the Lancer. What they do is they will hide in one place and refuse to move. And if they've searched as a stack and they're coordinating, they have no issue in staying there for like 10-15 minutes. They will do that. That's not even an exaggeration. They will do that. And the problem there is that in competitive, admittedly, I might be getting this slightly wrong. If I'm wrong, I hold my hands up, but I think that in competitive, the modes have always been execution, escalation, and now control. I'm not going to insult anybody's intelligence, but just for the sake of being thorough in this video, I will explain why that's relevant. Execution, of course, it's a non-respawn mode. If one team decided to camp their own spawn and not move, and let the other team push them, that's what would happen, except the other team would just grab all the weapons and push them, and the team camping would more than likely lose. Escalation and control, if one team didn't move from one part of the map for the entire match, that would just be ridiculous, while the other team would just go and capture all the rings, and the team camping, again, would lose. However, in multiplayer, like regular casual multiplayer, and I'm including ranked in that, don't forget, that's still casual. In that, it has many other modes, and not all of these modes do encourage moving around the map. Now, let's take worst case scenario, because even with worst case scenario, the weapon balancing should still work in that mode. So let's say we're in a game of team deathmatch. Yeah. Let's say we are on checkout, and both teams reach the middle of the map for their first opening fight for the power weapons, and one team completely dominates that first initial fight, and as a result they grab frags and snipe and whatever nades on the platform. They get all the map position and they can set up ready for the other team to be on respawn to then try again. Granted, the team that won the initial fight should be rewarded with those weapons, I completely accept that, but the problem is, what's the point in it even being a respawn mode if the rest of the round doesn't even function because of the way the weapons are tuned? Now, I say this because even though that team has gained all of those power weapons, they don't need those power weapons because the Lancer is so extremely effective that they don't need that. That's just an extra bonus. So imagine you are now on respawn and the other team has managed to set up in these positions, and they don't even need the power weapons they've just earned, they've just stopped you getting them. I genuinely don't know the answer to this. I admit, even though I've played so much Gears, I do not know the answer to this. How do you get out of this situation with this Lancer trap? Keep in mind, and the reason I used it before, the numbers. You will go down in less than a second of concentrated team fire if you try to move. How do you get out of spawn? What do you do? Do you just make like a meaningless attempt just to throw the lives away? That's the only option, isn't it? Because you cannot get out of this. The Lancers will down you far too quickly. And this is the exact situation which I see way too often, and this is the reason why I have a problem with the Lancer. And this is the reason why I say it's a problem for Gears, because this is the exact situation which slows down the game pace so much that people find it boring. And if people find a game boring, they're not going to play it anymore. So that's why I say that it's people using the Lancer, like this admittedly, these people, these are the Lancer players who are ruining the game for everybody else. So that's why I say, even in the initial tweet that I showed on this, that's why I say that it's these people ruining the game. And if they are the ones hoping that the next Gears comes out soon, and they just carry on playing the same way, they are going to ruin that exact same game in that exact same way. And then they are going to be just begging again for a new Gears in the hope that somehow things are different, without realising that they are the problem. And I understand that people won't like me saying that, but I do not think anything I've just said there, and any of those scenarios I've just used there, are wrong. You will go down in less than a second of concentrated Lancer fire. Less than a second. And there's no way you can just warp across the map to get out of that situation. You can spawn with... What can you spawn with? You can spawn with your Nasher, your rifle, your snub, and a smoke or flashbang. That is not getting you out of that situation. What is the option? Well, you can Lancer back. Right, okay, you can Lancer back. If that is the only option, then that is not balanced. That means nothing else is balanced enough to the point that that can be utilised to get out of a situation. Your only option is to try and do it back. That is not balanced. That means something is so overpowered that nothing else is viable in that situation. I am not wrong in saying that. I'm sorry if you don't like me saying that. And if I'm wrong, please tell me what strategy you would use to implement to get out of this situation. Because I don't know. I admit, I've been playing Gears for over 10 years. I don't know what to do to get out of that. I can't get out of that. I'm stuck. And that's the problem. Those loadout weapons, the Lancer, 4 Lancers, They are so powerful, they can trap you in spawn. Now the thing is, I'm using spawn as the example, but this can happen on any part of the map. You could get, even if you stay on checkout, you could stay trapped over electronics. That could easily happen. If people get 4 angles on you, you can't get out, you can't move. They will hold you down, they will not move. Now, going back to the example of Vexy's used, and the follow-up example I sort of provided on Gridlock, if you're using the Lance like that, that's not an issue. Because that situation, that is trying to make a push, that is advancing through the map and helping your team. Whereas the example which I frequently experience, and the one I've just tried to provide on checkout, that is nothing like the experience on Gridlock. That is nothing like what I think Vexys is maybe imaging in his mind and rightfully talking about. It's nothing like it. Now, again, I've not been in any esports matches, of course I haven't. But I don't think that they play like that. I don't think that they camp for 15 minutes and let the other team run at them. It wouldn't even work in those game modes, so of course they don't. So, naturally, a pro player more than likely isn't seeing the issue that I have with it. But many people do. Many people who play public have been in that situation. And that is the problem, and that is why I truly believe it's pushing people away. So of course I don't want to just make a video like this and not try to give a solution. My idea is that I don't want the Lancer to become useless. I want it to become a support weapon again, not a weapon that can dominate the map. So what I think is, don't reduce the actual damage output at all. I think it should stay at 50 damage. But I'd like to see the rate of fire reduced a little bit more, down to about, maybe reduce it by 10%, just so that means if you have got Lancer firing at you, you can still get from one piece of cover to another. It shouldn't be a case of one weapon can fire so fast that you can't move, especially not if it's a loadout weapon. If it's a power weapon, I can understand it having that sort of dominance, but not a loadout weapon, that's crazy. I'd also say to reduce the clip size from 40 down to 20. Now, I don't think many people would like this, but I think that would make it so much more skillful, because as I say, one clip currently has the ability to down 3 people, which is too much. But 12 shots mathematically can down a player. So if you reduce that to just 20 in a mag, that means you can only afford to miss 8 of your shots if you want to get a down, not 28 of your shots and still get a down. How crazy is it that you can miss 28 shots of your magazine and still get a down? That's just ridiculous. On top of that, I also think that they need to reduce reserve ammo down to 120. And I say that because of these camping setups. If players have got enough ammo on them to just sit there for the entire match, they're not going to have any reason to move, are they? But if they're actually getting through their ammo and running out, they are going to have to move. And when they run out of ammo, that must mean they've been there for enough time. And if they do have to run off and get ammo, that means the other team has an opportunity to get out of any trap that they're sat in. And then that means it opens up the match to actually become a match again, not just one team unable to move until they run out of lives. I honestly think that that would mean the Lancer would become actually skillful again, and if you die to the Lancer, you probably deserve to die to the Lancer, whereas now, you're dying to someone who can miss most of the magazine and still down you. I don't enjoy it. I have uninstalled because of Lancer and shot delay combined. I've seen many people all say that they've given up on Gears because of the Lancering. Admittedly, they've also given up because of shot delay, but a lot because of the Lancering. And, as I say, if this carries over into Gears 6, obviously that's speculative at this point being a Gears 6, but I'm going to say there probably will be a Gears 6. If that carries over into Gears 6, all it's going to do is going to push those people away again. And you're going to be back into this current state that you've got now where no one's playing the game. And what's going to happen at that point is you're going to be begging for a Gears 7 in the hope that somehow that has people on it again. And what would you do then? Would you go into Gears 7 and start launching them again so they'll quit that and you want a Gears 8? It will never end if you keep pushing the player base away. People play games because they want to have fun. Nobody has fun if they are spawn trapped or stuck in one part of the map because you refuse to move because you're camping. And the problem I have with that, if you were camping with a power weapon, yeah, it's kind of lame. Camping's lame. But if you're camping with a power weapon, it is what it is. You've earned the weapon, you should be doing damage with a power weapon. If you're camping as a team with a weapon you spawn with as a loadout weapon, that means that that weapon is far too effective to have that sort of dominance over the match. Anyway, as I say, the tweet I put out yesterday, I put it out for a laugh. I really didn't intend to, one, get anywhere near the response I got on it, and I definitely didn't intend to be making a video about it, but I just wanted to address some of the comments made towards it. And obviously with Avexy's making a video, like, I think because he's seen that post. I could be wrong, but I think that's what happened. Because I've seen that, I don't want to just sit there and see people making valid comments, like, trying to help the game and like have discussion about the game. I don't want to just leave them to do that based on me, oh, I'm just trying to have a laugh sort of thing. So they'd sort of, I wanted to be respectful in that and like give a proper response back. I know many people left comments that weren't exactly useful, shall we say, but that doesn't bother me, I just find it funny. But if you sat through this, thanks for watching, and what do you think about what I said about how it makes the game feel like you can have two different games sometimes, depending on how the opponent uses the Lancer? Because I honestly believe that. I really believe if you have people using a Lancer as a support weapon to take pushes, it's not even a problem, I don't even notice it, even though it's doing its job. But if you have a match where people use it to camp, it doesn't feel like the same game. Or maybe that's just me. But anyway, have a good day, and I look forward to reading what you think. Bye.
Kate. Kate.
No.
Kate, you can't see this. You don't want to see this. I'm sorry. Kate? I'm sorry. Thanks, JD, for coming here.
Of course.
Can I recommend we maybe get these people out of here? Hey, just slow down.
No, Foz is right. We need to move.
What are you talking? Oscar's dead, man. Give her a minute.
She'll get her minute in the Raven.
What the hell is wrong with you?
Now we need to leave.
I'm not going.
Excuse me?
For months now, I've been having these dreams. Nightmares. But I think they were messages.
What?
Something's happening to me.
It's your grandmother's?
Enough. We'll deal with this later. Foz, round these people up.
I need help.
There's a place. Up north. I think we can find you answers there.
No. Absolutely not. We have orders.
You'll go with me.
God damn it, both of you, listen.
I'll go with her. Look, if you're missing, Jen will notice.
Okay. I'll push Jack the coordinates.
No, Corporal. You are coming back to New Afira. That is a direct order.
Well, Captain, screw your order. This isn't about you. It's about me. I need to fix this.
Hey, watch her. Her necklace? That's a locust symbol.
Yeah, so?
She would never be our enemy by choice. I know that.
Because she would die for us.
I know that. But what if it's not her choice?